Welcome everybody to number 7 of the van build series. So this one's going to be part one of plumbing. As you can see right next to me, I've got my freshwater tank, which is going to be underneath the shower, underneath the van. And I'm still waiting on a grey water tank to be made for the other side. So I went through a company called Atlas Tanks, and they custom make your tank to whatever size you need. And they also drill your holes for all your breather plug, your outlet for your pump, and your inlet for the water filler. So they can do anything you want. Just send them the plans and they'll make it up for you. I also went to a shop called Camec and got all my piping and fittings, elbows, connectors, everything like that. So I think I've got everything I need for the first part, but if I need to go back to the shop, so be it. So this episode is going to cover me sort of doing this side of the van of plumbing, hooking up the hot water system, getting ready for the shower and everything, and just basically as much as I can do until I have to build more cabinetry and all that. So my plan when I'm living the van life will be basically, I want to be off the grid. I want to be able to live off the grid 100% of the time, but have the option to plug into mains water or main electricity if I want to. But I want to be completely self-sustainable. So I'm hoping this 110 litre tank will suffice for me, but I've also drawn up 2 custom tanks that would fit behind this and behind the grey water tank and be able to hook up to this main tank in case I need more water storage, but I'm hoping I don't have to do that because it will cost a fair bit of money to get those tanks made. So like usual, I'll be writing a blog post that goes along with this episode on my website, and you can head over there to get an in-depth breakdown of the whole job that I've done in this episode, as well as all the pricing broken down individually. I must say that some things I have been getting trade price on because I've been buying in bulk, so they give me a better price. So if you're going to do a whole van build like this, you should build a good relationship with a supplier so that they can give you a better price. But if you're buying little bits and you're just doing a little bit, you're probably not going to get trade price. So this is my first time ever doing like a major plumbing install, so I'll do my best. It's probably not going to be the best ever, but I'll just do the best I can. So let's get into it. So firstly, I'm just aligning the freshwater tank underneath the van. Then I marked up where the tank gauge can go. I gave the tank a thorough clean out so no debris was inside. Next I installed the 1/2-inch breather bung. This is the 30mm strapping that I'll be using to mount the tank. Firstly, I mounted the strapping with 2 roofing screws. I then installed the breather hose. Once the first side of the strapping was mounted, I put the tank up and secured the secondary sides of all the straps. this is my water mains inlet. So firstly I marked it up and then cut it out with a 90mm hole saw. I used plumber's tape on all my screwed inlets just so that it's definitely sealed. Next I applied Sika Pro to seal it when I push it to the van. So this is the valve for the tank fill, so I can control when I want to fill the tank when I'm plugged into the mains. Now I'm mounting the pump. So I mounted them directly with button screws, and they were long enough to go all the way through the floor and secure to the ply subfloor. Now I'm drilling 2 holes in the wall through the floor for the hot and cold water supply. My hole saw wasn't long enough, so I had to stick down a extension bit to mark a pilot hole so that I could see where to drill upwards from the bottom with the hole saw. I used Coro to protect the piping from the metal chassis. So as you can see, all the piping needs a little insert that goes in the end, and this simply allows it to have a better seal when you push on a T-joint or an elbow or something like this. And it also needs a little red clip that locks it so that the T-joint or the elbow can't slip off. So this is the cold water inlet to the hot water system. So this is the hot water outlet of the hot water system. And just a note, make sure that none of your piping has any scratches in the parts where you push it into a join, because this will bypass the little seal inside and you may get leaks. So I'm simply going to zip tie the hot water pipe to the cold water, because the cold water is already saddled and secured. Now I'm marking up where the shower mixer is going to go. So normally the back of the shower mixer is installed before any sheeting goes up, but I've already sheeted, so I have to figure out a way to mount this shower mixer. So I cut this bit of timber and I'm going to hold it onto the shower mixer and pull it off, and I'm going to make sure that it stays in the exact same spot on the timber, and then I'm going to mount the shower mixer and then screw the timber in on the sides of the studs. Once mounted, just give it a really good test to see that it's definitely secure. So now I'm using the draw wire to pull the piping through the previously installed conduit. make sure you seal up your mixer so that no water can get through into the wall. Once it's dried, install the cover flange and install the handle with the little grub screw. And that's your shower mixer completed. Next I marked out the drain. So firstly I got underneath the van and marked out where I can drill a hole through and marked it up and cut it out. Alright, so I sort of made like a bit of a mistake. It's kind of unavoidable because in this shower pan there's a part that's recessed, which is just here, and that's the lowest part of the whole pan, and that's where your drain is actually supposed to go, but I really couldn't put it there because I've basically got a tank underneath the van taking up all that area, so I can't drill through there. So the only basically place I could drill was over here, and that is not going to recess there, just having that. So I got a bigger hole saw that is going to be just a tiny bit bigger than the circumference of that, and that'll allow that to recess and be level with the bottom of the pan so that the water can drain. Otherwise, if it was like that, the water's not going to drain properly. So I'm going to see how it goes with a 60mm hole saw. If you've already drilled a hole and you need to drill a bigger one, combine the two hole saws on one arbor and use a smaller hole saw as your pilot bit so you can still drill a neat hole. Next I siliconed up all the inside of the hole. Then I glued the drain to the pipe with PVC glue and tape. I ran a bead of silicone around where the drain's going to sit so that it's sealed. So this is the trap that I'm going to use for my drain. It's a HEPFO inline valve, and water flows in this side and goes through, and this side closes so that no smells or anything can go back up. And these are all the weird coupling sizes I had to use to reduce it from 40mm to 25mm. I had to shave down the end of the pipe to fit into the coupler. So now I'm eyeing up my toilet base, and I literally used a chopping board. I used Sikaflex Pro to adhere the base to the shower pan floor. I then used the toilet template to mark up the 3 screws and then drilled the mount to the wall. I then sealed all the edges of the toilet base.
Once the toilet was secure and installed, I installed the plumbing. Next, I filled all the little holes for the pipes with Sika Pro, just so that when the van's moving, there's no vibration or movement in the pipes. And I forgot to install a filter just before the pump, so I bought one and installed this just before the pump. So first I'm going to do a mains water test.
Alright, so I'm just checking for any leaks in the system, and I'll be honest to you, before I did this test a couple of times and I did find some leaks in this T-join, so I'll fix that. There shouldn't be any leaks now. Even the slightest little dribble of water is a problem, so you got to really be sure that there's nothing. So check every single join, and yeah, make sure there's absolutely zero leaks. So here's the inlet, and if we come underneath, there's the valve to fill the tank. So if I open that valve, you can hear that's starting to fill the tank. And that'll continue to fill until that reaches full, and this is the breather line, so it'll start coming out of there once it's full. So here's the end of the breather line, it's just overflowing now, so that means the tank is full. So I'll just explain the system so far. This is the inlet, as you saw on the other end, for the mains. There's the valve for the tank fill, which goes directly to the tank. So this line goes, basically bypasses that valve, and it just goes directly to all your outlets like the shower, the toilet and all that, bypassing the pump and everything. So that's your mains inlet for your van. So there's your main inlet coming from the mains, which goes to this Y join, which also joins up with the pump. So the pump and the mains are feeding into this Y join. So this is the tank outlet, which goes into this filter for the water for the pump and goes up to the inlet of the pump. And then that's the outlet of the pump coming into, this is very important, a one-way valve. So water can only flow that direction into this Y join here, so that if you're connected to the mains, pressure's not going to be pushed back this direction. It will stop here if you're connected to the main, so that'll protect your pump. So basically that's where the pump outlet and the mains inlet join. They go into this Y join, which will, as you can see, I've got a blocker in here at the moment, but that will come over here with a pipe and go up to the sink in the kitchen, but that's not done yet. And it also tees off all the way down there, back here, and that goes up to your hot water system, your shower and the toilet. So I'll show you that above in a second. So that's the cold coming in, going over to here, and it goes straight into your inlet of your hot water system. It also, before it goes in there, it tees off up to here, which tees off also across here to your toilet, which is toilet flush, and then also comes up here to the mixer for your shower. So that's cold water covered on this side. The hot water obviously has to come out from the outlet of your hot water system, which comes back here, which tees off up to your mixer of your shower, so you get hot and cold. And it also tees off down here, which goes back underneath the van. It comes down here, across here, and that's going to go over with this cold eventually when I built the cabinetry up to the sink in the kitchen. So there's the toilet flush button. It's not hooked up yet electrically, but if I click that, it'll flush the toilet. And that toilet swivels so that you can use it easily. It's literally sitting on a chopping board that I cut and siliconed up. And yeah, that's there pretty securely. And that's the cold inlet for the toilet flush, which just joins to the hose provided with the toilet. The toilet is controlled by a solenoid, so if you click the little button on the toilet, the solenoid will open the valve for the toilet and it will allow water to flow. So here's the drain in the shower. I've got to neaten that up a little bit, but that will drain underneath the van. So that drains to here, comes through this HEP flow valve, which is the inline trap, so that smells can't go backwards. And that will connect over to here in the black piping, and there'll be a grey water tank along there, which I get, and that'll drain into the grey water tank. Also there'll be a drain here for the sink in the kitchen, and that will join up with this drain here in a Y join, and they'll just go in one inlet into the bottom of the grey water tank. Alright, so I'm going to test the pump now. I've dummy wired it up to a switch, a light, so I'll flick it on and show you guys the pump working. So there's the pump going. You can literally barely hear this pump, to be honest. If you can hear this. The microphone up to it. It's a really quiet pump. So if I clamp this off, that flicks off. Let go. Starts going again. Clamp it off. Let go. So just an important thing to note about this mains inlet is that it actually regulates the pressure from the incoming, and it drops it down to a manageable PSI. So it doesn't pose any damage to your internal plumbing. And also it's got a one-way check valve, so that when you're operating in pump mode on your 12-volt pump, water won't flow back through here. It'll stop that water. It can only go one way, it can only go in. Alright, that is it for episode 7, plumbing part 1. So I did as much as I could, hooked up the hot water, the shower mixer, the toilet, the tank, the pump, the mains inlet, and yeah, I'm still waiting on some parts. I'm still waiting on the grey water tank and the shower head. So you'll see that in plumbing part 2, as well as me hooking up the kitchen sink and all that. But I can't do that until I've done the cabinetry. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next, I'll be doing either the solar install or electrical roughing. So I've really got to get a move on with this van because I've got to have it done before the end of this year. So definitely I'll be releasing more videos and more content more frequently. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was informative and helpful. There'll be a link in the description below taking you to the corresponding blog post for this episode. So you can see all the prices of the stuff that I used and a more in-depth breakdown of what's going on. And if you like this content, please subscribe, comment, and drop me a like if you want to see more of this sort of content in the future. Thank you guys for all your support, and I will see you in the next video. Catch you later.